Ahead on NewsWatch, Donald Trump nominates Secretary of State with ties to the Russians, and it comes as Washington is already gearing up for a showdown with Russia. Plus, a big win for churches in Massachusetts, what it means for religious freedom, and why no one saw it coming. And the Christmas cure, we've got a spiritual solution and some common sense answers about the true source of your holiday stress. And thank you for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. President-elect Donald Trump has chosen the CEO of ExxonMobil to be the country's next Secretary of State. But Rex Tillerson's nomination is already raising concerns on Capitol Hill because of his ties to Russia and Vladimir Putin. Gary Lane is on the story.
President-elect Trump's choice of Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State is controversial.
Usually you look in the Secretary of State for someone who has some level of diplomatic experience.
While Tillerson lacks diplomatic and political experience, as CEO of the ExxonMobil oil company, he's developed many friendly relationships with world leaders. He's received the Russian Order of Friendship Award and has close ties to President Vladimir Putin. That's raised concerns on Capitol Hill. Some think he's a bit too close to the Russians. The Tillerson nomination comes at a time when both Democrats and Republicans are calling for an investigation of alleged Russian meddling in the recent U.S. presidential election.
The Russians are not our friends. I hope that those who are going to be in positions of responsibility in the new administration share my view.
On The Daily Show, President Obama said Russian attempts to influence American elections dates back to the Soviet Union days. He says an investigation and report may prevent such actions in the future.
What they did here, hacking some emails and releasing them, is not a particularly fancy brand of espionage or propaganda.
But Julian Assange, the head of WikiLeaks, says Russia was not the source of the hacked DNC and Podesta emails released by his news organization during the presidential campaign. And some of those in the agency that oversees all U.S. intelligence, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, reportedly disagree with the CIA assessment. Reuters reports they said the assessment that Russia acted to boost Trump over Hillary Clinton lacks conclusive evidence. And just days before the Electoral College electors meet next Monday to cast their votes making the presidential election final, at least 10 of them say they want a national intelligence briefing to determine if Trump is fit to serve. Critics say it's just another attempt by Democrats and some members of the Hillary Clinton campaign to delegitimize the Trump victory. And vote recount efforts are now over. Judges stopped the efforts in Michigan and Pennsylvania, and Trump gained another 131 votes after the recount in Wisconsin. Meanwhile, Trump is making his final choices for his White House team. He's chosen Goldman Sachs President Gary Cohn as his chief economic advisor. Cohn will be the third Wall Street executive to join the Trump administration. And with a little more than a month left until Inauguration Day, Trump has only a few more cabinet picks remaining. Some of his selections are controversial, and he's likely to face ongoing attacks about them and the course he plans to set for his administration and the country in the days ahead. Gary Lane, CBN News.
Dangerously cold temperatures are headed for the central and eastern U.S. by midweek. The Midwest and Northeast could experience their lowest temperatures of the century. That is according to AccuWeather.
Also digging out.
The snow is nice for about a month, and then after that, not so much.
It's beautiful, actually. It's beautiful. I've never seen it like this in December in a while.
Wind chills are also expected to dip down 30 to 40 degrees below zero. The latest snowstorm has already caused havoc on the roads, causing up to 900 accidents.
Slow down. I mean, that's, the best advice I can give anybody, because once you break traction, there's no bringing it back.
Experts are warning against hypothermia and urging people to take extra precaution. I want to turn now overseas. Kurdish and Iraqi forces are still working to drive ISIS out of Mosul, but Christians are unlikely to return there even if that happens. A new report on minority groups in Iraq and Syria says Christian refugees from that city were suffering persecution even before ISIS took over. Nearly 75% reported facing threats and violence. Overall, Iraq's population of Christians has fallen from 700,000 to 250,000 since 2003. and most are internally displaced. A new report reveals the news media have been biased in its reporting about hate crimes in America. If you went by media reports from the last few years, you'd think that blacks and Muslims were the main victims of hate in America. It is true that hate crimes have risen against blacks and Muslims, but a review by the American Enterprise Institute cites FBI data from 2015, and it shows Jews actually suffered 3 times as many attacks as blacks, and they were victimized 1.5 times more often than Muslims. Just Monday, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch spoke at a mosque focusing on hate crimes against Muslims. There was no mention about hate crimes against Jews. Lynch also pointed a finger at the Trump administration, raising concerns that it could erode civil rights. Pastors in Massachusetts are celebrating a big win for religious freedom. It comes after the state revised its interpretation of anti-discrimination in a law that called churches places of public accommodation. As Heather Sells reports, that would have forced many churches to break the law in order to follow their beliefs.
As the country's strictest anti-discrimination law, it threatened to control how churches communicate about gender and sexuality and how they operate their bathrooms. The strategy, the Massachusetts State Attorney General and Anti-Discrimination Agency deciding that a church would be considered a place of public accommodation if it hosted a secular event, such as a food pantry. Under a public accommodation designation, the church would be forced to follow the law and its rules about gender identity. Pastor George Small and 3 other pastors sued the state, saying that it violated their First Amendment rights.
It could affect me as a pastor and what I teach and how we operate as a church. I mean, this is new ground.
Pastor Small was joined in the suit by Pastors Marlene Yo, Esteban Carrasco, and David O'Coin. They also spoke with CBN.
This law is really tying our hands, not allowing us to be who we are. And the government has no place.
There all this talk of a wall of separation of church and state. Where is it when it comes to something like this?
The victory for the churches comes with a new interpretation of the law. The Massachusetts Attorney General's office now says that it was not right to automatically consider houses of worship as places of public accommodation.
They recognize that they have no legal authority to apply this law carte blanche to churches.
Holcomb says the pastors are overjoyed by the state's decision and are dropping their lawsuit.
It's a great day in the state of Massachusetts when both the Commission and the Attorney General recognize the freedom of every church to operate consistently with its faith.
The Attorney General's office even credited the pastors for taking on the state, noting, quote, "Your lawsuit caused us to focus on these issues and to make this revision." Now there's a growing precedent that churches should not be considered places of public accommodation when it comes to LGBT laws. In Iowa this fall, a federal court shut down a similar attempt to classify churches.
It's an excellent sign that the Massachusetts Commission and Attorney General have likewise backpedaled and said, look, we admit that the First Amendment protects the freedom of churches to operate consistently with their faith.
Holcomb notes that the Massachusetts win would not have happened without these 4 pastors and their willingness to take a stand. Both the Massachusetts and Iowa victories should serve at the least as a warning to any other state trying to use LGBT laws to control churches. Heather Sells, CBN News.
A judge has granted a request by Disney and several Hollywood studios for a preliminary injunction against VidAngel. That is the streaming service that allows families to filter content from movies. This means VidAngel has to stop streaming content for films it has not obtained a license for. VidAngel CEO Neil Harmon released a statement saying the decision is a temporary one that we will appeal. While the appellate process plays out, we will work to improve our system and prepare for our anticipated post-injunction relaunch. Harmon added that VidAngel plans to fight the case all the way to the Supreme Court. Coming up, Home Away from Home. See how Christians in the U.S. are reaching Chinese exchange students with a message of love. CBN is bringing refuge and recovery to women in Lima, Peru after partnering with a local church to provide a rehab program and an emergency shelter. 60 young women were trapped in prostitution, drugs, and alcohol, but they are now receiving discipleship and training as well as a safe place to stay. The shelter was finished and dedicated to the women last month. 23 women are now living in the home, working on their discipleship and Bible training academy. U.S. campus ministries are growing in popularity among international students. Lonely and far away from home, many of them are overcoming their culture shock, finding championship and comfort in Christ. Mengfai Li explains.
Laughter, games, food, and fun. For Esther and Mark, Friday nights are about more than just eating a free dinner at church. They come for a special purpose. Thousands of Chinese students come to the United States for advanced education. Fresh off the boat, many are professed atheists, but some are finding Christ through campus ministries. According to InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, in 2015, more than 304,000 Chinese were enrolled in American colleges and universities. 12% of them accepted Christ. Regent University student Li Xiang struggled with culture shock after arriving in Virginia Beach.
Loneliness was totally unavoidable for me. No matter how hard I tried to keep myself busy, I just felt empty. Then, I was invited to a church dinner on Friday nights. It felt strange that the people there shared an amazing dinner with me and started to talk to me as friends and buddies.
CBN News joined some members of Agape Chinese Church. As they handed out tracts at a Washington, D.C. park, their main focus was to invite foreign students to church. Contemporary music is an important part of their outreach. Some people passed by at the park were deeply touched by their passionate performance for Jesus. Singer Jose Parra welcomes the partnership with Chinese American Christians.
We have been praying for years to have a church Chinese community on our side and capable to communicate the gospel to them. So this year it has we have that community church that is actually helping us to share the gospel with tourists that are coming from China. They speak only Chinese, straight Chinese.
Church leaders believe music is one way to bridge the gap with the foreign college students.
Many students told me they have never heard of this type of music. Although they don't know Jesus, they can sit there quietly to listen and feel the music. They love those songs.
Over time, the Christians established relationships with the students. As a result, they became more willing to discuss faith and the Bible. The students' lives changed because church members ministered to them and helped them understand the Christian faith.
I've never thought about the word sin. The more I read about it, the more questions I had. I even compared Christianity with other religions. When I got really confused, I tried to pray like other Christians do. I just felt God was next to me and church leaders began to explain more to me. The purpose of this ministry is to allow Chinese millennials to know Jesus. They're living in the U.S. and they will face trials and uncertainties. Our church provides help to them, and we want them to feel the same love that Jesus gave us all.
And share that love with others once they return home.
As a church, we want to use our resources to change the Chinese young people right here in the U.S. God gave us a mission to make disciples of all people, all races, and all nations.
Mengfei Li, CBN News, Manassas, Virginia.
Up next, beating holiday stress, Heather Sells shows you why anxiety at Christmas may have a deeper source and what you can do about it.
The holiday season is a time for family, faith, and celebrating, but these happy holidays can sometimes turn into a season of stress. And so joining us now with some tips on how you can restore some joy to your world is Dr. Jesse Gill, and he's a clinical psychologist, marriage expert, and the author of Face to Face, 7 Keys to a Secure Marriage. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
It's good to be here.
Christmas is supposed to be joyous, and yet we often overextend ourselves, overspend, we get stress. What are your thoughts on how we can undo this yucky cycle?
I would like us to take a look at what's driving some of the stress in kind of a unique way. Our joy can get turned into stress when we're actually having trouble dealing with loss. And here's what I mean. When our Christmas season is so pressured with the gatherings that we're trying to put together, when we have this internal pressure to create the perfect gift, or maybe we have a lot of longing to receive this gift that's going to somehow make up for missing pieces, we're not so much focusing on like what's going on right here, right now, in front of us with our family and with the Christmas season. A lot of what we're dealing with, it's things from the past that we've lost, maybe this year, or maybe it goes much further back. And so we're trying to like make up for things or replace things that really can't be replaced.
Yeah, unpack that a little bit. So I'm buying a gift for someone and I'm putting myself under a lot of pressure, and why is that?
Well, so in the instance where I'm trying to purchase a gift for somebody and there's a lot of pressure, maybe I'm afraid of loss there. Like I'm afraid that if I don't do it right for you, that you're going to disapprove of me and somehow we're going to have some distance between the two of us. So we have pressure that comes from loss, both the loss that I had in the past, I'm trying to make up for it, or I'm afraid of loss in the future if I screw it up or somehow don't make the perfect gift or the perfect pumpkin pie.
So what do we do as we're thinking through these things to enjoy the holidays?
I speak from personal experience, just like everybody else. I know that at the Christmas season, I love a lot of people, and I'm trying to pack everybody into a 4-week stretch, and it's just not humanly possible. So some of what I need is to embrace the gift of acceptance for the things that can't be replaced, the things that no longer are, the things that are just part of past seasons and I can't replicate them right here, right now. Some of us need to know that we have acceptance from others, that we are unconditionally loved, even if we don't give the perfect gift or somehow fail to perform.
So it sounds like rethinking or just being very strategic about the holidays and what we really are trying to accomplish, and maybe really investigating some of our thoughts as we're going about it.
That's right. Our internal world is so important here, and there's things that we can do to kind of discipline ourselves in a good way for this acceptance posture that we want to be in. So I'd like to offer 2 acceptance strategies today, if I could. And so one of them, I call it less is more. And what this means that at the Christmas season, instead of focusing on all the stuff that I don't have or the stuff that I'm trying to do and pull it all together, adopt a mindset of gratitude. And gratitude is independent of how we actually feel in the present moment. It's kind of a spiritual discipline. The Apostle Paul tells us, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. And what we know is that if we put on a mindset of gratitude for all of the gifts, including the greatest gift, we will have a lot more acceptance, a lot more joy, and I guarantee you we'll have a lot more peace.
All right, so that's number 1, and there's number 2.
Second strategy, as I was speaking about how I get spread thin trying to connect with everybody and it's not humanly possible, I like to encourage folks to think about connecting with just some key people at Christmas time. So do a mental inventory, a couple people that you really cherish or you really value, and you don't even have to give them a material gift to build a connection moment right here, right now with that person, but share from your heart. Build that relationship. Or maybe as you're doing your inventory, it comes to mind somebody that you need to reconcile with. And so in those relationships, receiving and giving the gift of forgiveness at Christmas is a huge benefit to our stress management.
So what do you see as the spiritual ramifications of us practicing these ideas?
Oh, this is a beautiful opportunity. At the Christmas season, one of my favorite hymns is O Little Town of Bethlehem, and I love the verse where it says, the hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. And of course, that's not about the Christmas gatherings or the pressure. That's not about the gifts that we're going to give or receive. It's all about our hopes and fears being met in the person of Jesus Christ. We know that Jesus was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. So when we think about those losses that we're trying to deal with and accept, we can bring our sorrows and our griefs knowing that He is going to be there to comfort us. For the loss in the future, like we're afraid of what could come our way, maybe there are troubles in relationships or misunderstandings, we know that Jesus says, I give you my peace, I leave it with you. And Jesus is our Emmanuel. I love that name for the Lord at this time of Christmas season because He says, I am God with you. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. So we are confident that he's there to bear our sorrows and reassure us as we face whatever lies ahead.
And so comforting, because we all think that Christmas is just supposed to be happy, 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 but people are dealing with a lot. So
Much
very
deeper
good.
than that. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, Dr. Gill, thanks for your time.
It's good to be here. Thanks.
Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable, and here's a thought to consider and share with others. Faith doesn't always make sense. In fact, it is often the opposite of what seems logical. But God isn't looking for things to always make sense. He is looking for you to always have faith that He will work it out. In fact, without faith, it is impossible for you to please Him. So don't live a life of sense, live a life of faith. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about, and always you can find it at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hope you join us again right here next time. Make it a terrific Tuesday, everybody.